if you would give me a couple minutes.
Yeah,
Do you want me to come up there?
whatever you want to do.
Well, maybe you can hear me better.
Okay.
My name is Bert Stanley, and I got acquainted with Bob a couple of years ago in the home of a family here in Mountain Grove, and went to his little meeting, and then my wife was gone, and she came back, and eventually, long story short, she says, well, are we going to back Bob or not? And I said, yeah, I think he'd be a good candidate, and that's all that she needed. And my wife is Carol, and she is a staunch supporter of Bob and a hard worker, and I wish everybody had her enthusiasm. She's in Maryland tonight, but this can be done. And I wanted to tell you a story where we came from in Michigan. In my job up there, a fellow that was going to run for state representative called my office one day, and he'd been told to call me. I might be able to give him some insight or whatever. And he was thinking of challenging the 17-year Republican incumbent in a Republican district. This guy was entrenched. And I'm a pessimist. My wife's an optimist. I said, I don't think you can do it. I mean, the guy, he doesn't even have to campaign and he gets in. Well, fortunately, he didn't take my advice, and he started his campaign, and we organized. He organized with a grassroots effort, and he ended up winning the primary, and that was the biggest shock of the world. It rocked the whole state. And that was the last I ever heard of that fellow. He went to Lansing and served 6 years, term limited out, and then his successor came in following him and did an equally good job. So I know that it can be done. And I'm interested in politics. We follow it quite extensively, and I never see anything of Ann Emerson on national politics. I watch national politics. I'm a Fox News junkie, and that's just about all I watch. And I never once heard her name on national TV. And so I regard her as a Washington insider. She hasn't got any particular power. I don't believe in Washington. I read her article in the paper every week, and you'd think she was just the greatest thing. But she knows how to write, and she knows what the local people want. That's my opinion. And she knows what motivates voters, I believe, in this area. And when I was working, we had to contact our legislators, and of course it was to try to get money, to come back to the district. And so I know how all that's done. So she goes on her ag tours every year, and talks to the ag establishment, and gets support that way, and lobbies and votes for programs that certain constituencies want. It's all tied to money, the ag programs and all of these things, and it all adds up. But I believe I contacted her back when TARP was being considered, and she had some reason why TARP was such a good deal, and voted for it, and tried to justify it, and I'm still not sure it was a good deal. Bob mentioned that Richard Lugar got defeated after 36 years in the Senate, and incidentally, he is an advocate of the Lost Treaty, L-O-S-T, and if he gets beat in the primary, he'll be a lame duck, and there's going to be a treaty come before the Senate, probably, which is called the Law of the Sea Treaty, and you would not believe what is given away to the international authority in the UN, and he'll be an advocate of that. There was an election in Kansas, I believe. Is that where Senator Kerry was one time just yesterday, I believe? He got beat by he didn't get beat, but he's going to be facing a Tea Party candidate who beat two establishment Republicans, rhinos, Republicans in name only. And so it can be done. Nancy Pelosi said one time when the Obamacare deal was going on, she was asked the question, where in the Constitution do you get the authority for Obamacare? And she just blew it off and said, you've got to be serious. She didn't even regard that as a serious question. And I believe that Bob would be one that would look at the Constitution when it came to spending and making laws that affect us all, that we really aren't even aware of, because so much of that, it just happens. And then all of a sudden it's here, and we wonder how it happened. And so she wouldn't even answer the question. And so I'm a strong supporter of Bob, and my wife certainly is. And I know that it's hard to ask for money. I hate to ask people for money. That's hard to do when people don't have a lot of money. But it does take money to run a campaign, and anything will help. And so anything that can be done to help Bob in this effort, I would encourage you to do it, and even if it's a little bit. And tell your friends, and let's try to get behind him and get somebody down there in Washington that has the values that I believe are shown here in this part of Missouri. And I believe that we would be well represented, and that's about all I want to say. Probably said too much, but Bob has my and my wife's support, and I just want to do everything I can to try to help him get it. And I think he can win. This last time, we just need to get that ball rolling and try to make it happen. I hope I didn't take too long.
Thank you, Larry. Bert and Carol are just awesome supporters, and that little Carol, she's been helping with this mailing. She's just awesome. She's got a group of ladies that are helping here in Mountain Grove.